All right, bull stream should be up and running. We got about 50 seconds here until the close. All right, we'll be going over the market and going over today's plays. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for February 16th, 2022. Qs. Just flat on the day. We did have a gap up, or a gap down. We were looking lower, and then when Fed minutes came out, strong reversal, strong response to that. And then SPY basically flat. We'll see if IWM, I haven't looked at, is basically flat too. Okay. So what does that do to the chart? Now, we came into today, I mentioned bearish because I don't see any reason to be bullish. Okay. We gap down, and with the gap down, this is the closest thing to a pivot of some kind. It's not a nice looking pivot. It's not a nice looking chart, but that's basically was our line in the sand once we got the gap down. Now, what did we do today? We actually rallied and took it out by a little bit. Okay, so you can see this line drawn here. This is just manually drawn. It's not meant to be a specific or to the penny line of support. It's just me pointing out, here's what we got. If this is a low and this is a high and this is a higher low, we just eked out by definition an hourly uptrend just by this breaking above this previous pivot. That's the closest that you can have basically an uptrend without being a very convincing uptrend. Okay, does that make sense? So, and you can see the 20 MA here is really just barely started to curl up in response to what happened. So for tomorrow, it's gonna be a neutral bias for me. Okay, and then here's what we can do to either move to bullish or bearish. All right, so first we have a declining 20 MA on the daily, and then the hourly is just starting to flatten and curl up. Okay, so they're at odds. Price is above on this chart, right? And then price is at the 20 MA on this chart. So the time frames are not very aligned. Okay, so neutral. Underneath today's low, all out bearish. Okay, get whatever happens to, tomorrow we sell off to it. If we gap down underneath today's low, all out bearish. Okay, then we'll just stick with the daily that has stayed bearish. If we stay strong tomorrow, move above today's high, and don't come right back down, then the next entry, the next hourly buy setup or breakout, we're gonna switch to bullish. Okay, especially if we if we rally and we challenge this and then we get a buy setup near that top, I think there's a higher chance that we take it out. If we move up and we base at it, then there's a higher chance also that we take that out, right? So we can start to anticipate being bullish if this hourly, what happened today, gets follow through. Okay, does that make sense? And as I pointed out today, as we were finishing up today in the room, we've been in this situation before. And last time we were neutral as well. And we were saying, okay, we need the same thing. Okay, see how at this point here, where the 20 MA had flattened out and was starting to point up now, we were staying strong. Hourly was trying to put in an hourly uptrend. This is the line that I drew last time we were looking at this very similar situation, right? And what did we do? Came right back down. As soon as we took out this green bar, we were back to bearish, and then we got follow through and we stayed bearish, right? And we've been bearish ever since until today as we took out this pivot here caused by the gap down, right? Neutral for tomorrow. Okay. All right. So we'll see what we get tomorrow. Very interesting what kind of follow through we'll get on the Qs and SPY. All right. Let's go over the plays from today. I had a very difficult day, a little bit of it self-inflicted, I think, but I think the last few days haven't been bad, but they've been choppy. Okay, and really been expecting better follow through and better, just the plays looked okay here and there, but expecting better follow through. So the first play for me was this VIAC. Okay, VIAC, I was playing this right here underneath this little base right here. And so, and it looked really nice on the 1 minute. 1 minute was what I was focused on. I got triggered in, okay, on this bar, and then immediately it went back up. And then I thought, okay, well, let me just, if it moves back up anymore, I'm going to kill it. Okay, so yeah, so that was the kill. So it broke, and then I was like, oh, it's a breakdown failure. I killed it. Okay, not according to plan. Was just kind of not feeling that comfortable with the play. But the VIAC, I mean, it's a nice gap. Okay, clearing support here. Pretty bearish gap. Okay, just not that comfortable. So first partial loss of the day on the VIAC. Okay. Next play was the Angie. Angie was fine. Someone else in the room mentioned this as it was breaking down, so was able to catch that. So that was good. That kind of put me back up on the day, kind of fixed things. And then, so that was okay. Angie, I didn't end up holding it all day, kind of because I just felt today I just wasn't that patient. And that was the last bit. I think round 7 was where I got out. The next play was the hook. Hook was a nice 5-minute buy setup, I thought, here in the morning. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. All right, we got a little bit of a double bottom on the 2-minute, or on the 5-minute there, and then 15-minute is just a buy setup. Go ahead and remove that so it's easier to see. Over that bar, stop underneath that bar. Okay, that's the pullback. 5-minute did a double bottom there. There's the first bottom. There's the second one. Okay, same setup as the DOCS. DOCS, although I think DOCS was a better gap, this was the DOCS. 5-minute buy setup right there. Moves up first, gets a retracement play, right? Doesn't retrace too far, and then we get in the play and we stay in it as long as we can. So yeah, I don't really have a problem with the hook, but I think the hook, it just wasn't acting right. So I decided, okay, let's go ahead, kill it under this MA, trailed it to $2. So cut it about in half, the risk. So we got in, it was looking, and it couldn't break out over the highs. We got a little bit of follow through, but then came right back down. So like, okay, that's not acting right. I did recall it here to play over high of the day if it broke out, and it didn't break out. Later on, it did this spike, but I didn't think there was a good setup at the time. Okay, so VIAC got out early and seemed like a mistake, and then the hook got out early, not really according to plan. So as I was kind of talking through the plays and scanning and things on the mic, I was like, if I'm going to take another play, I have to really be committed to the play. I got to manage it appropriately because, I already know, seeing what I'm doing, I'm inching closer and closer to making a decision or getting out too early and trailing too tight. Like I'm in whatever it is, I'm in that kind of mindset today. So I got to be careful. If I take another play, it's got to be for real. Okay, there's no kind of more messing around with the plays. So I like the Corsair a lot of relative strength. Love the daily chart here. Okay, lots of room here. Weekly 20 MA, pretty far up above, or we'd already broken it, but room up above. All right, so we played this 5-minute breakout. Okay, 5-minute breakout. Here's the base that I used over high of the day. Okay, and so this would have been a much better lesson, story, whatever, if this play tested us, which it did. It came 2 cents from stopping, and then went off and made got to multiple targets and made a bunch of money or whatever. Okay, right? Because especially like right here, I thought this was probably the best looking long idea that we had at the time. Okay, this is before the FOMC thing. So yeah, that would have been a nice lesson, but it all still rings true because if I had killed it, I probably would have killed it here, or I don't know, just arbitrarily gotten out of it and then had to stare at it when it's basing up here at the high of the day to ask, do I need to play it again? Why am I so impatient? Why can't I manage things correctly? It's like all of that. Even if the play, doesn't trigger, you're putting yourself, through all of that, and it eats away at your confidence as a trader. So when you kind of mess around like this, and you're doing stuff that you're not supposed to, which I kind of already was doing today, as far as the management. So, you know, this, even though we just ended up closing at the end of the day anyway, okay, because it never stopped. And then last 30 minutes, I just said, okay, we're done with it. Let's get out. Okay. And it still lost a little bit. The thing is that I'm pointing out here is that I think it's more common for traders to give themselves a pep talk at the beginning of the day. I think it's like very common, right? We're going to have a good day. I'm going to trade my plan. I'm only going to take good plays, take good entries, whatever. But sometimes we need it in the middle of the day too, because our mentality from the beginning to even the midway point, which when we took this course here was basically we were approaching lunch. All right, it changes. You go through a lot in the morning. Your P&L fluctuates, whatever, depending on how many plays you take and what they do, right? So it's okay, to give yourself a little bit of a pep talk here. And for me, going into tomorrow, yes, if this play had worked, right, yeah, that would have been great. Would have been a great lesson, a great story, whatever. But the effects of sticking with this, not getting shaken out, not having to question myself, why can't I do what I'm supposed to, still lends itself to how I'm going to feel tomorrow, which is that, you know what, I can get myself back on track. I can force myself to do what I know I'm supposed to do, even if it's hard or even if I don't want to, right? I think it was, I think the AJRD on Monday, right? It was starting to get a little bit accelerated, and it was especially after that jump, right? I think I even referenced it on Monday when I was doing the wrap. It's like, I know what I'm supposed to do, but doesn't line up with what I want to do. What I want to do is take some now after this breakdown because it's really wild. But I just going to try and do what I'm supposed to do. So don't just take it because you're scared of the volatility. As long as I know I can manage risk and I'm not oversized, then, that's fine. And so then, right, I know what I was supposed to do, which is stick with it, right, until it gets to the target, which I was looking for 37. So even though, like I said, on the CRSR, whatever, it didn't work, it still sets me up by doing something that I know was hard and that I didn't really want to do, sets me up better for tomorrow, knowing that, okay, yep, I can, got things a little bit under control and I can force myself to be disciplined, right? It's those days where you do a bunch of stuff, you lose your head, you do a bunch of stuff, you don't know why you did it. Okay, you're just trading to trade, you're just trying to catch whatever you can catch. Those are the ones that destroy your confidence, because you go into tomorrow and you say, boy, I don't know if I can trust myself with this account, right? And so, it's doing things that you know you're supposed to do, right? Even though you don't want to, right? That's the discipline that we have to force upon ourselves, right? And even though, in this case, didn't lead to a home run, I think tomorrow I'll be in a much better mindset than if I had just kept on messing around throughout the day. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense, because sometimes, our actions is not just always about, okay, did this action make me money or not make money, right? So, all right. Okay. So little bit of a little mini pep talk there, kind of mimicking just the pep talk that I had to basically give myself there in the middle of the day. But hopefully that just lets you know that that's completely normal. Sometimes doesn't matter how long you've been trading, right? You still can get knocked off balance. You still can get off track, and then just got to figure out a way to kind of right the ship, right? Okay. All right. That's going to do it for today's market wrap. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good evening.